My beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. If you are seeing me for the first time, my name is Joyce Anyanwu. Yes, my people, I bring to you another politics news in Channels TV, where Mr. will be in the studio, or where Segun of our Channels TV will be talking or interviewing Mr. Femi Falana. Yes, concerning this Femi Falana on IBB autobiography book. Yes, so you all of us, we know that IBB wrote a book and they launched the book. A lot of dignity, a lot of ex-governor, present governors, ex-president, present president, former, all the dignities people in the Nigeria, they came to that book launching of Ibrahim Babangida. So, it has been a lot of things. People have been reacting like, I don't know. A lot of people have been reacting that some say IBB don't supposed to be there, supposed to be arrested. Some people say, even the Igbos now, they say they want 10 trillion for their compensation, because according to what IBB said, this idea that Igbo people, they don't want to give them a position in Nigeria or to rule Nigeria as a president, because they believe that they will, share Nigeria. Igbo people have been advocating for their Biafra. So Nigerians then, they have that fear that when they come in there, they would share the country. So this has been right from time 1996 school. So they believe that the Igbo people were trying to, they were buying all the northerners. They were buying all the northerners because they want to take over Nigeria. So my beautiful people, that is why it has been so. IBB knows everything, that it was not so. The thing was just an coincidence, that that was not what Igbo people believe. That is not what they were planning. IBB knows all these things for a while, and he couldn't say it. It was there, just quiet. So they were buying Igbo people. They were slaving them. A lot of things. Even he talked about MK Abiola, that he was the winner of that 1993 election, and he siphoned it and put somebody there because he wants Sonny Abacha to take over the position. The thing led up to where MK Abiola they buy that guy in prison custody. So a lot of things. It's like, for me, it was like he's doing a restitution. That book is about, it's just doing like restitution, what really happened. So anyway, a lot of people have been talking, a lot of people have been reacting. Some say they have to arrest him, some say he have to compensate Igbo, some say a lot of. So today, anyway, before I will talk too much, Femi Falana is with Segun in Channels TV. So he want to tell us his own, how he feel, what is his own take on this matter. So that is why we are going to be watching this video together. Please drop your own opinion in the comment section. What is your take on this IBB book? And what is your take on what Femi Falana have to say? Then we will come back and react on it. Thank you.
There might be some hard eating and reflections on prison times and some very horrific military day treatment. So more reactions keep coming on the release of former military president Ibrahim Babangida's memoir, which has reignited debate about Nigeria's political history. A significant revelation in the book involved the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, which Babangida admitted was won by Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, popularly known as MK Abiola. From what the account of the former military head of state Babangida in that book, he says the annulment was influenced by forces within his administration, allegedly led by Sonny Abacha. We slate. Tonight, I'm being joined by one of those whose voices were very loud during the military junta and had to sleep in jail many times for their activities. They were in fact very notorious for in some prison cells because they visited it more than multiple times. Perhaps one of a few who survived the brutality of the military days is a younger Femi Falana, and his life for us here in our studio here in Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Femi Falana.
Thank you very much.
At some point, I had a conversation with, let us think, Nike Falana, of how your days in prison during the military days and how he had to independently take care of the children and in your absence when spending times in jail. But I'm imagining what kind of reflections IBB's book would have brought to your mind. In summary, how do you describe the record and the record and the account of former head of state Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida?
Well, I've taken time. I persuaded myself to read the book, and the impression I gathered at the end of the day was that an attempt was made by the retired general to recall events, but perhaps in an attempt to tell a story, he engaged in what I would call a careless distortion of history, because there are gaps that he was unable to fill at the end of the day. And I think he also might have forgotten that not all the dramatists personae have passed away. So history has already taken care of the Babangida tenure. Any attempt by him now to rewrite history failed woefully in the book.
So from your own point of view, you don't quite agree with some of the account, especially in some of the dated events and some of the events which you personally are involved. And perhaps let's take it one after the other, because if we both are involved in an event, our accounts may be different depending on where the koboko hits, because the military used koboko a lot on the civilians at the time. But where the koboko hits more on you and where it hurts, where in the book did you feel that the account of IBB was distorted?
Many areas of the book. I mean, talking about the annulment of the election, General Babangida claimed that he traveled to Katsina on the 23rd of June 1993, and he was flabbergasted to learn about the annulment. I beg your pardon. They called to stop the conduct of election. So when the junta discovered that the Court of Appeal was going to set aside those orders, a decree was enacted by General Babangida on the 22nd of June. So altogether, 5 decrees which justified the annulment. So the announcement of 23rd by Unduka Irabo was anchored on the decrees enacted by him the previous day, justifying the annulment of election. That's number one. Number two, between 23rd of August and 26th, General Babangida promulgated 7 decrees, again to confirm the annulment, to legalize the interim national government, and for the country to move on. He claimed that he was not aware. He was taken aback on the 23rd of June. But on the 26th of June, he made a broadcast, a nationwide broadcast, justifying the annulment and alleging that the election was riddled with corruption, corrupt practices. Even though it appeared to have been fair and free, but the election could not be relied upon. Also on the 22nd of June, he annulled, or rather set aside, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, headed by the late Justice Bola Babalaki, set up by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Chief Justice Mohammed Bello. So how you can turn around to give the impression that some forces, without his knowledge, annul the election? It's not.
Could it be
fair to
Could it be, Mr. Falana, that maybe the man at the very top is not really aware of the machinations of all of the scheming, and a lot of things happened.
The man at the top signed the decree to annul the election. Signed the decree.
Maybe he doesn't know the details of the.
No, to stop Babangida, he was sufficiently intelligent, and he once said, in the face of the crisis, I'm not only in office, I am in power. And he exercised the power against the interests of Nigeria. He also said at that time that they are not the election in the national interest. He never mentioned Abacha. No. And in any case, the annulment you are talking about was perhaps the last stage of the manipulation. Following the criminal annulment of the election, the campaign for democracy organized peaceful protests in many parts of the country. General Babangida ordered that the late Chief Gani Fawehinmi, the late Dr. Bekoran Somkuchi, and myself be arrested and brought to Abuja here, where we were charged before a chief magistrate in Wuse here for the allegations were unlawful assembly, conspiracy, unlawful assembly, and sedition. What was the sedition about? That we had published the results of the election, which he has just published in his book. But at that time, it was a criminal. He made it a criminal offense. Our bail was refused at the instance of the government. Again, the junta thought foolishly that once we were put away, there would be no protest in the country any longer. So we were sent to Kuje prison here. Again, sensing that we might get bail in the High Court, General Babangida ordered that we be detained in addition to the court remand under the State Security Detention of Persons Decree number 2 of 1984. And so we were detained. Now you said we committed an offense by challenging the annulment of election. 32 years later, you are now saying, oh, I regret that we are not the election. So that means you knew. You deliberately arrested me, detained me, charged me, and paraded me as a criminal, only for you to say now, sorry. No, you didn't say sorry. We regret what we did. No apologies. For me, we're taking it beyond the book. A year earlier, because Nigerians must not forget the fact that when General Babangida staged a palace coup on August 27, 1985. I'm talking of when he removed, and his colleague plotted the removal of another military head of state, General Muhammadu Buhari. He said, he criticized the Buhari Idi Agbon Tanzani's junta for not fixing a terminal date. So he said, we are going to leave office in 1990. In October 1990. 1990 came. He postponed the terminal date to 1992. 1992 came. He changed it to January 1993. January 1993 came. He changed it to August 1993. But what we did in 1992 was to say this postponement had to stop. So we organized protests and published posters. Babangida must go.
IBB must go was very popular on the front pages of
yes.
Was major headlines on on major newspapers.
Of course, we were arrested in Lagos, brought to Abuja, FCT, and detained in Kuje prison under decree number 2. When the late Chief Gani Femi went to court, Dr. Bekor and Samkuchi, Baba Omojola, an economist, and myself were brought to Kuje prison in 1992. Chief Femi went to court on our behalf. For going to court on our behalf, he too was arrested and made to join us in prison. So I think on the 19th of May, they deceived us in prison that we're going home. So we pack our things. The vehicle that was taking us to the airport purportedly made some maneuver, and we found ourselves at the Gwagwalada Chief Magistrate Court, where we were charged with treasonable felony. Of course, they brought the then announced president to join us. So 5 of us were charged with treasonable felony. Since we had no access to our lawyers, so the late Chief Gani Femi and I decided to defend ourselves and our colleagues. So even though we're asking for bail, we turn our arraignment to the trial of the junta. And I recall on that occasion, Chief Femi told the judge, my chief magistrate, Malam Balama, that those who should be standing trial for treason, those who should be in this dock, are in the villa, led by General Babangida, because they had sacked, they had overthrown a democratically elected government on December 31st, 1983. So those are the people that should be standing trial.
Mr.
And of course, no, just a point. When it came to my turn, I made it clear to the judge. This section of the law, Section 41 of the Criminal Code Act, which provides anybody who forms an intention to remove the president of his country during his term of office, otherwise than by constitutional means. I said, my lord, the man calling himself my president has no fixed term of office. So I couldn't have been brought here. Of course, the judge adjourned. 2 weeks later, he granted us bail, very liberal term, 20,000 around one shot in like so. The regime could not stand another proceeding. They couldn't go back to court. So that we don't turn the thing into a full trial of General Babangida and others. So they simply ran away. And the case was struck out. So I'm going to challenge the malicious prosecution. My malicious prosecution and that of my colleagues.
Is it not time bound? Because,
No.
I mean, so you want to prosecute General Babangida for whatever happened in his time as a military head.
Now, I've assembled a team of lawyers. They are looking into it because he has now brought it to life.
What exactly are you bringing?
He has brought it back to life by now admitting that there was no basis for my prosecution because he now says Abiola won the election, which was the basis of our protest. He's also saying, you know, he shouldn't have, you know, postpone the terminal date of his transition program, which again we're fighting. So which means there was no basis for our prosecution. It's malicious. Again, massive infringements of our rights, human rights. Because when you keep me in Kuje prison, you deny me my right to liberty, my freedom of movement. You also violate my right to choose the government of my country, pursuant to Article 13 of the African Charter.
Is the matter not settled bad?
No, it's not settled bad. Because the man who did it has just come out to say, I did it wrongly.
Mr. Falana, there is something that you said you have...
And again, let me say this. You know, it's not in our court. You can talk of something being started.
Too bad, yeah.
In the ECOWAS court in Abuja here, in the case of Femi Falana and Republic of Benin and others, the court said any violation after 3 years cannot be pursued here. But later, you know, the improvement of the jurisprudence of the court has now come to the conclusion. I think that was in the case of Federation of Journalists, you know, Gambia, and the government of that country, that once you are talking of serious, gross abuse of human rights, statute of limitation does not apply.
Let me take you on one very, very controversial matter that was also raised by the former head of state in his book, and it has to do with the late Delegiwa. And let me quote part of what he said. He said, and I quote, "My sense of loss was, however, overwhelmed by the public outcry and the feeling of tragedy in the introduction of an entirely novel mode of killing in our country, coming a few weeks after the OIC crisis, which led to the retirement of my number 2 Commodore, Ebitu Kue. I saw Giwa's wicked and cruel murder as part of a series of booby traps and acts of destabilization being hatched against the administration." End of quote. That's the account of General Babangida. And he said, hopefully, that one day, he said, Giwa was loved by his audience and the rest of the public. Targeting him would shock the public and paint the administration in a feeble light. He's saying that one day, the death and the truth about Delegiwa's death will be uncovered.
When he frustrated the attempt by the state to uncover, you know, the cause of that incident.
General Babangida in the book, Mr. Falana says that a lot of people know his closeness with Delegiwa, and they wanted to use that to paint him black, his administration black.
His relationship with General Vatsa, right, was much, much closer than that of Delegiwa. Vatsa was his best man. They grew up together. They were sleeping in the same room as bachelors, right? He had him killed without any basis. But coming to Delegiwa first. On October 19, 1986, when that unfortunate incident happened, one of the early callers in Delegiwa's house at Okpebi in Lagos was the late Mr. Tony Momma, the information minister of the junta. And he said publicly, just like I said, because of the novel manner of this death, we have never seen it before.
The popular letter bomb.
Yes. We're going to have a public inquiry. 2 days later, the junta reneged on the decision that a public inquiry would be conducted. As if that was not enough, the late Chief Gani Femi, a personal friend and lawyer to Delegiwa, took up the matter, wrote to the government, if you are not willing to prosecute, I am going to prosecute. Right? The government ignored him. Gani went to court. The High Court said you have no local standard. What is personal to you? What interest do you have that is greater than members of the public in this unfortunate incident? You went to the Court of Appeal, the same ruling. But the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, roar like a lion. And in a very unique jurisprudential exposition, the Supreme Court held. I think the leading judgment was delivered by Justice Obaseki, who said, in Nigeria, you cannot challenge a concerned citizen for questioning the death of another person. The late Justice Esho put it in a more admirable manner when he said, the English concept of brother, neighborliness, requires blood brother. Has nothing to do with us in Africa, where you have the extended family system, and that in matters of this nature, we are all our brothers' keepers. And therefore, Gani as local standard. You know what happened? Gani then went to start the battle.
From the trial court all over again.
Unknown to him, the junta had secretly amended the law, Criminal Procedure Code of Lagos State, to limit private prosecution of criminal cases to perjury. So by the time Gani now started, the lawyer of the suspect of the government raised an objection that, my lord, you no longer have jurisdiction. The right to prosecute anybody for murder has been shifted. This matter was raised at Oputa. Gani gave his evidence.
I was going to make reference to Justice Oputa. And Mr. Falana, I'd like us to wrap up in this manner. I imagine that perhaps the reason, the intention of General Babangida was to lay a lot of questions, answer them, and lay things to rest, and offer a public apology. Unfortunately,
the book has raised more questions.
And you think it has opened more
Pandora box.
Now, the question here is that is it possible that we move away from this history?
Take the one of Mama Vatsa, right? It was a case of premeditated murder, whereas Vatsa and other officers were arrested in December 1985 on suspicion that they were planning a coup. At that time, the law did not allow the military. And so what happened? A month after the arrest, while they were in detention, General Babangida promulgated a decree on January 6, 1986, to try people who were arrested a month earlier. It's murder.
Mr. Falana, a lot of these things that happened in the military junta, and when we imagine that this the military regime is with force and sometimes without no depth of thought, of civility and democratic thought.
As the Supreme Court said in the case of Garba and Federal Civil Service Commission, the military, in coming to power, again this is the language of Justice Session, is always faced with whether to allow the rule of law to operate or rule of force. But once the rule of law is taken, it's chosen, you must do everything in accordance with the law. So they had their choice. They pretended they were civilized. And so they rule by decrees. And so once you depart from the enabling decree, the court will strike down.
On a final note, I thought Justice Oputa's panel would have also helped to heal. And you were a very active participant in that session, which was supposed to be our own kind of a panel of a healing, reconciliation, and Nigeria moving forward from the horrific past of the military days. But on a final note, Mr.
General Babangida went to court to stop the panel from inviting him to give his own account. Oh, yes.
So where do we go from here? You say you are taking this matter to court.
Oh, well, I'm suing the general for engaging in the massive infringement of my fundamental human rights. I'm also challenging the malicious prosecution of my person and my colleagues.
Senator Ojo Uzokalo is saying that President Tinubu should recognize for late MK Abiola as a former president of Nigeria. Do you think that was necessary?
It's already, since 1993, he has been recognized by the people of Nigeria as an elected president. They are just these guys, who try to set the hands of the club back, are just recognizing that now. And the last one is about this, they want to set up a library. No former military head of state has ever set up a library. What do you want to read there? You can only have a library set up by an elected president. You understand me? So I hope they will, title it well. It should be military, a former military president, whatever, library. It shouldn't just be a presidential library because you confuse people.
General Babangida made it clear that it was military president, and there are those who debated that there is nothing like that.
No, there's nothing like that. No. You can't have a military president because a president is elected by the people. And so he said why he chose the title in the book, why he chose the title president was that he did it in line with the suspended provision of the Constitution. That suspended provision of the Constitution did not recognize a military dictator. Every officer under that Constitution must be elected.
Mr. Falana, thank you so much.
People. Wahala be like bicycle. Nah, man. Hey, Mr. Falana has fallen out. The man is so angry. The man is so bitter. Oh my God. I will not blame him. We have heard the way, what this man passed through in IBB hand. Nobody will be happy of everything that this man was fighting was his right. But the other way around, IBB was tormenting him for his right. And he has vowed that he's going to sue IBB to court. Guys, what is your take on this? According to Shegun say this thing has been 32 years ago. So everybody has moved on. Everybody has forgotten about this. So if he wants, that is pleading with Falana to leave it. Falana say no. Did you know what I went through? Do you know what I I went through that period? Do you know what I went through that period? All of us, we have seen how he narrated everything that happened. A lot of people, he is not the only one that is saying that he want to sue IBB to court, but a lot of people have said it. Even people that were not born then has said that this kind of thing, this man supposed to be in prison. Even I made a video, I think that was 2 days ago, where I think it was still Shegun that were interviewing that Mr. Yemi, something like that. The man was still bitter that, not Mr. Yemi, he was interviewing Peter Side. Yeah, Mr. Peter Side. So the man was like, why are they laughing? Why are they clapping? This is not something to laugh. This is not something to clap about. This is not something to be happy or to begin to say, oh, that is okay, because this is like serious issue that the police suppose, even the army, or they're supposed to arrest IBB. A lot of people are not happy with this book, what he did, all those things that he did, even before, when he was still like young. Even the 66 coup, even the MK Abiola issue. People are not happy with him. People are really, Nigerians are really angry with him. People are not happy because nobody will see all those torture, according to Mr. Falana. Nobody will see all those torture, which in the sense that you know that this is not how it's supposed to happen, and at the end of it, somebody is maltreating you on what you know that is your right, and the person that is doing that thing, he knows that what he is doing is not good. Ivy was not a child. Why is it that when Nana, after 32 years, he is sitting in the wheelchair, stroke has paralyzed him, then he's coming out now to confess, which the Bible will say restitution, but it cannot change anything. For me, I will just advise everybody to stay calm. After all, this thing has happened for years. We have moved on, and if Ivy did not come out to say this thing, nobody will still know. Everything will still be like that. But for him coming out to say it, which means he has regretted, and he has something like it has been disturbing him, because nobody forced him to write that book. Nobody forced him to launch the book. Nobody forced him to say people read the book. So he has really pour out his pour out his sorry to, although Falana say he did not say he is sorry. He only say I bear the consequence. Yeah, so it's okay. My people, what did you think about this? Please drop in the comment section. Drop your opinion, your thought in the comment section. Thank you very much if you have watched to this time. Thank you, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye for now.